Hey guys, welcome to Wrench to Drive. This is a Redcat Gen 8 crawler video, and I've made some changes. You'll be able to see some of them up top here. We're running the Hobbywing 1080 ESC. We're running these shiny aluminum shocks. So so you have to do some modifications to get those to fit, guys. You got to do some cutting in the fenders. We're running the Arma 4S servo just because it's the only one I had handy. We'll flip it over here and then you'll see the real mods, guys. So I'm running these metal SCX10 axles. They were actually pretty easy to install, guys. Basically, you use the stock Redcat lower arm mounting points, and then the standard mounting points on the axles, shocks in the standard position as well. And the upper arms, you actually need to move, I believe, back and forward respectively, one spot. The Redcat's adjustable, so it's easy to do, and then you get the geometry basically good, guys. And up front, so same thing, lower arms, stock mounting position, the one upper arm, the third link, one spot forward, and then the only thing you need, guys, is you need some way to mount the panhard bar, and I 3D printed this out, and I just glued it to the axle with hot glue for now. Probably try and come up with something prettier. I just wanted to make sure it worked. So you need it, two things. You need it up high enough, as you can see there, and you need it over to the left far enough to get the right position. Relatively simple, guys. I will post the part and the geometry so that you know what you need. And yeah, I mean it works quite well, guys. Oopsies, let's try and get a decent shot here. We got decent suspension travel on both sides, and these are 90mm shocks, not 100mm or 110mm. I forget what the stock Redcats are. I think they're 100, but don't quote me on that. They might be 110. And yeah, they work pretty well, guys. And then the only other mod you need to make is you need a steering link that will let you attach to the servo chassis mounted instead of axle mounted, as these axles come with the mount for the servo on the axle. So you got to mount it in the chassis, and all that means is the arm that lets you connect to the servo, the steering link, it's got one end 90 degrees to the other, and the one that comes with this axle is fixed, so you can't change it. So I just used a couple of ends and a 3D printed link, and I'll post the geometry for that as well. That's pretty straightforward. And that's all you need, guys. And then you can run these shiny axles. Alright, so why am I running these axles? Well, because I got a TRX4 chassis relatively cheap, and I wanted to run the portal axles in that chassis. So that's where those are right now, and there'll be a video on that coming up. So what I decided to do with the Redcat, because I love that Gen 8 body, I decided to go for more of a trail truck instead of a hardcore crawler that it kind of is out of the box. It's very capable out of the box, guys. This configuration is much less capable, mainly because of these big huge pumpkins that I've talked about before. These pumpkins are huge, guys. These axles do look pretty nice though. They look pretty sharp, so that was kind of what I was thinking, was put the shiny fancy axles in kind of a trail truck, more of a scaler, and then and use the super capable axles in a really capable crawler. And what I wanted in that was the 2-speed, guys. That's why I got that SCX10 chassis. So this is for me, the goal here was to convert this into more of a trail truck and leave the other one as more of a heavy duty type unit. Oh, and the only other thing that needed to be tweaked, guys, was the drive shafts. I had to shorten the innie part just a little bit, guys, about a centimeter on each end to get it to fit. And I had to just grind around the input shaft, just smooth it out. It was just a hair too big, guys, and run a drill through the hole, and then everything worked. And it was the same size drill bit, guys, same size as the hole that's in there, just to open it up very slightly. Like, it was just a hair too tight, like just so slightly, guys. It did need a little bit of modificating though. So if you're not capable tool-wise, these cheap Chinese axles might not be the thing for you guys. But if you got a little bit of basic mechanical skills, it's not too tough to get them in there. The biggest obstacle is that panhard bar mount, guys. That's by far the biggest obstacle. But again, it's not that hard. You can see this is not a complicated part, guys. It's just a kind of a clip-on jobby, and I hot glued it in place, and it works good, guys. Like you can see this, you know, the axle articulates nicely. When you see the driving parts coming up, you'll see, you know, it runs pretty good. So that's it for the babble for now, guys, and the rest of the babbling I'll do in the video. And on to the running, guys. So as you can see here, these tires are a little bit smaller than the stock Redcat tires. These are those cheap Injora 110mm Super Swampers. They work really well. On this truck they do look a little smaller, guys, and we got those steel wheels on there. And with this setup, you can actually fit the stock tires in. There's about a 5mm more clearance, so the stock ones should work just fine. I will test that at some point to verify. As you can see here, the one thing you have to do when you're driving with these shiny metal axles, guys, is respect the pumpkins. Those pumpkins are huge, guys. It's just like driving a real off-road truck. You gotta be mindful of where that pumpkin is and keep it clear of rocks and obstacles and stuff if you don't want to get stuck. Overall, it actually does crawl pretty well, as you'll see here. So here we're just doing a little bit of entry-level type stuff. Do a little bit of crawling around. There's the pumpkin whacking into something again, guys. It's really the only downside to these axles, in my opinion. Those pumpkins are huge. Here we'll climb up on this concrete that you've probably seen before. You do get a little scrapey, but I mean, part of that's just these smaller tires, which I kind of like. I mean, to me, this kind of looks like a beefed up Suburban, a little more authentic to the period Scout. Not quite as jacked up and sporty looking. And overall, the crawling is not that much different, guys. In some ways, it might actually be a little bit better because of all that weight down low. And here you can see it's this is really rough, guys. You've seen it if you've seen any of my other videos. You've seen the other trucks struggle on this too. So I honestly didn't think it would get across this, but here it's not doing too bad. You got to use a little power at times, but it gets around all right. And the honcho style trucks get beached on this really easily as well. So this here is nothing unusual. It's always a beach party trying to get over this this big lump here. Now there, it's good and stuck, guys. There's literally no way this truck is getting loose from this position. Which kind of surprised me because the honcho ones always do, but yeah, it is what it is. There's that shiny axle under there. Looking all spiffy. Yeah, she's stuck though, guys. And then we'll take a little run over this. As you know, if you've seen the past videos, this is not super tough, guys. There's actually a few big rocks there. That's what it's stuck on here. I beached it again. But part of this was the very first time I had it out, and if you're not used to, you know, where the low spots are and where those pumpkins are going to get stuck, it's something you got to get a bit of a feel for. And once I got the hang of it, it was actually a lot better. Two-handed driving, it's a lot easier as well, guys. I've said that 1,000 times and I'll say it again. And there she is. Bright orange in the sunshine. I'd say this top speed is very similar to the stock Redcat top speed, and this is running a 13-tooth pinion gear if I recall correctly, and it's running the stock divorced transmission and transfer case that comes with the Redcat. So the motor's still up front, and with this gearing, I'd say it's very similar overall to the stock configuration. For what it's worth, guys, when you watch this running, it is a little more jerky. The crawling is a little less smooth than it is with those portal axles, but to me, this configuration is very realistic feeling. This truck is really heavy, and you combine that with the way it drives, and it's got that kind of intangible quality where when you're crawling over rocks and stuff, you kind of blip the throttle, and you kind of got to use the truck's momentum to there we go, jumping over that a little bit. you use the truck's momentum to kind of keep it going up and over, and you know, control that throttle. You know, it takes a little bit of driving skill if you're not used to it, and definitely two-handed it's much easier. It's got quite an authentic feel in my opinion, guys. If anybody else does this, I'd be really curious to know what you think of it, because you know, the portal axle trucks, they've got tremendous control. They drive really nice, but it's almost too easy in some ways. Like they're so nice to drive, but you know, this has got a very realistic feel to it. The full SCX10 transmission and axles, it's a lot less controlled. It's got a lot more of a jerky feel to it than this thing does. And anyways, it's kind of hard to quantify, guys, but I do like the feel of it when you drive this truck. It's pretty sweet. Here you can see with all that weight, it really digs into the dirt really rough if you get a little too frisky on the throttle. It does climb pretty well though, guys. As you can see, it's all about getting those wheels placed in a spot where you actually have some grip and not digging holes for yourself. Overall, this truck is still very capable. It's just not quite as good as it is with those portal axles, guys. The stock Redcat is really impressive. It's a really nice crawler. If you've seen any of my other videos, this little ridge here, if you try to run it with the tires straddling the ridge, it's tricky, guys. It's easy to get a truck beached in there. And with these big pumpkins, it's that much easier. But and this thing is big and heavy, guys. It's yeah, there it's beached, big time. This does still have the notch in the center section of the Redcat chassis brace, which it's a little nub underneath that kind of gets caught on stuff. You can actually get rid of it. Actually, this configuration, I have to say, I was not totally convinced about that mod in stock configuration because mine got stuck so seldom. But once you lower it a little bit and you don't have that awesome ground clearance from the portal axles, like this, in this version, getting rid of that would definitely pay off, guys. It would be a big improvement. No doubt about it. As you can see, the truck doesn't sit too bad, guys. I needed to stiffen up the right side, or you know, maybe I stiffened up the wrong side. I thought the right was softer than the left, but I think now I had it backwards. It was the left that was softer than the right. So I think I just stiffened up the wrong side of the truck. Just doing a little bit of tweaking after I got it home. Anyways, it rides real nice, guys. You just got to adjust the springs ever so slightly to get it sitting nice and level. These axles, you definitely notice the torque twist a lot more than you do with those portal axles, guys. It's one of those things where if you haven't run an older crawler, you probably don't appreciate the torque twist that much because the portal axles eliminate a lot of it. But basically, that's where the chassis twists to one side when you accelerate hard. And you can see that a lot if you watch this from the back. But it crawls just fine, so not the end of the world. Sorry about the lighting here, guys. It's the days are getting a lot shorter where I live, and man, when that sun's low, it's a pain to get a decent shot. You can see she digs in pretty hard. It's this thing is heavy, guys. It's very noticeable. That's why I keep mentioning it. It's with the wheels and the axles, this thing is at least 2 pounds heavier than it is normally. Plastic wheels, plastic axles, they reduce the weight a ton, guys. So you stick on all that metal and it's absolutely night and day different. I guess that's probably why this thing feels so nice crawling it. Although, no, I don't know. Now that I think about it, I was running these in my my W2D4, the rock bouncer car, and actually, with that SCX10 transmission, it didn't seem as good as this. So I don't know. Maybe it's not just the weight. And the weeds are the usual axle grabbing beasts. Real easy to get stuck around here in the weeds. But you can see this truck does still crawl really nice. The only downside, later on in this run, I run it on another day, and I hit a different location, and I did finally break one of the front axle shafts, and it's a known weakness in these guys. These Chinese axles, the front drive shafts are a little prone to failure. These, I would say, they went hours before they failed, but not nearly as much as I would have liked, guys. They definitely aren't overly strong. I ordered a different style to replace them, just to see, you know, with any luck at all, you know, maybe some of the cheap ones are better than other cheap ones. We'll have to find out. The axial ones are hideously expensive, though, so I have to break them. If I break them easy again one more time, I'll probably could switch to axial ones, but for now, it is what it is, guys. With these drive shafts, this sort of really heavy-duty stuff is probably not ideal, because it's easy to get the front end stuck up against something, and then you give it some throttling. You don't really realize that you're putting a lot of load on it until you've already done it, because you know, the tires grab a hold of something, they don't spin, and you realize you're at almost full power and nothing moved. Well, that's not good for the axles, guys. That's going to put a lot of load in those CV joints at the front. So here we're switching to a different location, guys, and you've probably seen this one before if you've seen any of my other videos. Just trying to give you an idea of how this truck performs on the various terrain that I always drive on, so that you can have an accurate comparison if you're interested in doing something on your own. As you know, I love doing the mods, guys. I like wrenching on these things almost as much as I like driving them. So here we'll try some rocks. And all this driving, guys, I actually did it two-handed after I did it one-handed, and I like I've said 1,000 times, oh my God, it's anything you see me doing on camera, every single truck performs better two-handed, where you've got a better level of control, guys. It's there's definitely a lot more to driving these things than you'd think. The slow crawling is in a lot of ways easier than fast, but there's a lot of little things you can pay attention to and improve your driving skill. And even things like paying too much attention to the camera and not enough attention to where the pumpkin is a big deal, guys. As you can see, probably right here. Oh no, it doesn't get stuck. Look at that, made it over that rock. You gotta watch out for those pumpkin grabbing rocks, guys. And this stuff is tough for pretty much any crawler configuration, guys, whether it was the stock Redcat or an SCX-10, Honcho clone, you name it. Pretty much every truck has some level of trouble with these rocks, guys. So they're not as easy as they look. It's just a getting stuck episode waiting to happen. So this thing's not doing bad, guys, considering it's a lot lower, and those pumpkins are rock magnets, guys. So yeah, it did pretty well. If you notice the sound getting dropped down big time here, guys, it's because the wind was just obnoxious. Oh my God, it was crazy. So there's a bunch of sections here where you can't hear a whole lot, and that's for the best, guys. The wind was terrible. Here we're taking another run at this from the other side. This is the side that's super hard to get up, guys, and I think I might have actually done some hurt to that drive shaft in this area, guys, because I got good and stuck quite a few times and kind of tried to power through probably a little too hard. And I'm guessing that didn't do that drive shaft any good at all. Or axle shaft. Not the drive shaft from the transmission to the axle, guys. The one from the inside the axle to the wheel. That's what I broke. And they're not too bad, guys. I ordered a set of 2 fronts and 2 rears for 18 Canadian dollars. So somewhere in the 12 to 15 US dollars. The only downside, they'll take a while to get to me, but locally here they were quite a bit more, guys. They were like double the price on Amazon. So if you wanted them tomorrow, you're going to pay a premium. It's one of those things. There was actually a really good deal before the whole COVID thing. I think they were $13 or something, really cheap. Should have ordered a set then, but I decided to roll the dice. And yeah, well, what are you going to do? Yeah, and there she goes, guys. For my money, I tell you, these are nice bodies, guys. I really love the look of this truck. I don't know about you guys, but that was the selling feature for this thing, boy. It was. I was tempted, you know, by the TRX4 and things like that. And I mean, part of it was budget. I didn't want to go to the full meal deal. I didn't want to go to the full meal deal TRX4 for the money they wanted, but part of it was that I don't really like the TRX4 bodies as much. I really like this International Scout body. So yeah, it's one of those things, guys. A nice body is going to run you at least $100 by the time you get it all painted up. So if you like the Scout body, you know, you're basically getting a massive discount on the chassis. So that being said, the pre-assembled chassis kit's not a bad deal. Where I live, that kit's only it's usually about $240, guys, which is not that bad. And then you need wheels and tires and a body, but you know, well, actually, and the electronics, I guess. So it's not super cheap, but you know, if you have electronics, it's definitely not a bad way to go. Even better if you got body and tires, but excuse me. And yeah, for my money, like I've said 1,000 times, guys, this Redcat is an excellent crawler, guys. It works extremely well. And in case you're wondering, this has the 3D printed door handles and the fuel filler cap and the windshield wipers and all the little things that make it look a little sportier. I know, you'll have to tell me what you think, guys. Does it look better with the big tires that come with it, or does it have a nice feel with these scale tires? I've seen a few comments from people that don't like the smaller tires on it, but personally, I think it looks all right. Gives a little bit more of a still streetable kind of feel to it. Not quite as over the top off-road. Gotta be honest, when I first put these on, I was thinking, oh boy, it sure looks a lot lower, and you know, I wonder how much less capable it's going to be. Surprisingly, guys, not as much as you'd think. The biggest obstacle to performance is actually those pumpkins, guys. It's not so much the ground clearance, somewhat surprisingly. Keep an eye peeled here, guys. This is where I actually break that that axle shaft, guys. It's somewhere in this little episode here coming up. I'm pretty sure it breaks at a point where it's having trouble getting up this slope just a little ways farther over. This run, it makes it no problem, as you'll see here. Pay attention, this part right here, it gets up no trouble, guys. You see, yeah, no troubles getting around that, guys. Piece of cake, and here it's just stuck on some weeds. I'm trying to wrangle it around the corner here. Having a bit of trouble. There we go, hopped it through. And then I'll come down and take another run at it from a different angle. I don't know. This is where I tried to take a route through these weeds back there, and there is a little bit of a trail almost, and I kind of missed it. And right up here I start to get stuck. I hit that one. I'm pretty sure there it's still got all four wheels going. I get through here. And in here I get frisky on the throttle, and I'm pretty sure it's the opposite side from where we're looking at, guys, where the front drive shaft broke. So the front tire that we're looking at keeps spinning. But you'll notice it's pulling to the right quite hard there, guys, and I think it's already broken that left side drive shaft at this point. And that's when I gave up and kind of backed on out there, guys. And here I noticed that it's broken. It's like I don't know if you can see in the video, guys. I can't quite tell from the editing view, but yeah, you can see that that right side front is not to turn so much, guys. Not turn so much. And I gotta check that back right side, because it actually looks like it's bent. And at one point I had checked it, and I was 99% sure it was just the foam was funny, but now I'm starting to think that shaft is bent, so it's alright. I got a new one coming. So this is a rare sandy spot, guys. There's not a lot of sand where I live, so this is one of the few times I've had it in anything that's even remotely sandy. And as you can see, this is quite dry and very loose in spots, and it does dig itself in very, very easily. So I was just playing around in this a little bit, getting a little bit of a feel for how this thing drives in sand. And there you see it digs in real easy. There's just there's a little kind of a swath here that's very, very soft, guys. It's super loose, and as you can see, she digs herself in real easy. And I don't think that's got anything to do with it only being 3-wheel drive right now, guys. I think that is just that this is so soft and this truck is quite heavy, because you see there it climbed over no problem. And it's still pretty loose, just not quite as loose. And then if you come back around and hit that loose stuff, it just digs right in. A little bit of angle in it, and it just digs itself right in there. Like I said, it's super soft, guys. Crazy soft. You hardly ever see that around here. Normally this would be a little bit damp at least, and then the sand is nowhere near as soft. But it's bone dry right now. Hasn't rained any amount that's significant in at least a month and a half. So it's really dry now, guys. Yeah, and she digs in pretty easy. Definitely those big tires would work a little bit better, guys. They're taller, they got bigger lugs, and they're a little bit wider, so I imagine it would have a better chance of getting through with those stock tires. And last but not least, we're going to take a run through this kind of a mini creek bed. It's just a washout from all the rain that we got early in the year. Take this thing through and see how it does in this new configuration. Not super difficult crawling, guys, but one of the spots that I like. And as you can see, it's actually, I think it's gotten even deeper. It's pretty much as high as the roof of the truck, so. And yeah, the camera work's not the greatest, guys. My apologies. It's a little tricky to get anything but a following shot here. So I was trying to make it more interesting, but I didn't succeed super well. And here being three-wheel drive definitely hurts it. If the tire hitting a rock doesn't get any grip, it definitely struggles. Yeah, I think here it's going to have a little trouble. Yeah, I had to cut, guys. There was all manner of pathetic looking driving going on there. Even here. It was tricky to get through here, guys. The non-driven wheel was getting stuck on stuff. The pumpkin was getting stuck on stuff. Yeah, you can easily find yourself a spot that's a little dodgy, guys. But if I had all four wheels driving, that definitely would have been easier. Another small problem I was having here was the servo starts acting up, and this spot here was just brutal. And I saved you a bunch of the misery, guys, because the servo was getting stuck all the way to the right, and I actually think it was that busted drive shaft, because when I took it out to check it, the jagged end definitely did seem to have the potential to kind of get jammed up a little bit, and I think that's what it was doing there, guys. Because when I tested the servo, I couldn't find anything wrong there. It definitely seemed to be. It didn't seem to be the servo or the axle steering linkage. It seemed to be. It seemed to be something to do with the axle. So I'll have to check that out a little bit more when I get the new ones and swap them in. But hopefully it's not the servo. That would kind of bum me out. To spend money on another servo. That's a downside to having multiple trucks, guys. Yeah, seems like there's forever one with something broken. Yeah, it does crawl along alright though, as you can see. Not that this is super challenging, guys, but every little obstacle counts, right? Right? That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. That Hobbywing ESC does work nice in this truck, guys. The control level is really good. And you've got a lot of tunability. This is, I think 80% drag brake, maybe 70%. So there's definitely more. You can definitely turn up the drag brake if you like more. If you're in a situation where it's good to have more. I don't know if you remember, guys, this is that same little pond that I've pulled up to many a time, and where we are right now here, it used to be wet. And now it's dry, and I take you for a little rip along the bottom of the pond here just to show you, and there's the water way over there. Okay, it's not actually way over there, it's probably about 40 feet back from where it used to be, and you can see that it obviously was never deep. But that's how dry it is, guys. This pond is just about gone. Might be gone before the winter comes. We'll see. Did not think that was going to be the case based on the spring we had. There was an absolute ton of rain. What are you going to do? So here we're just heading back and going to take a little run up that creek bed and then head back out. So that's it, guys. That's the Redcat Gen 8 running cheap metal SCX10 axles. And like I said, I've done a couple of videos on those axles. There's a deal video a couple of videos back where they were on sale for about 80 bucks Canadian. At that price, I do recommend them, guys. They're nice for 80 bucks, even if you just use the housings and use some axial parts, guys. They look pretty nice for the money. Any more than that, like I said, it's getting a little dodgy, especially when you start breaking drive shafts. But looks-wise, they're not bad. They do perform okay, guys. It's just a case of respect them. Respect the fact that they're not indestructible, guys. It's a little bit more like driving a real truck. You know, you can't just bash it. A 4,000-pound truck, 5,000-pound truck willy-nilly and expect the parts to hold up. You got to show it a little bit of respect. And with these Chinese parts, it's a little bit more like driving a real truck, guys. If you get too crazy, you're going to break stuff. But yeah, for 80 bucks, these axles aren't bad, guys. That's about 60 bucks US, and you know, that's not a whole ton of money, guys. Well, you get what you get, and you can get replacement parts for them. So yeah, not the end of the world, guys. That's just about it. Thanks for tuning in. This is Drive to Wrench, where we ask the eternal question: do you wrench to drive, or do you drive to wrench? See you next time.